So hi everyone, it's Hannah from Noble Beauty. So this is actually the first, I suppose, episode in a series that I want to do focusing around brushes. Now I have a ton of different brushes. I'm not saying I'm an expert on brushes. I use there's some that I have in my kit and quite a few that I have for my personal use. And there's quite a few different brands that I've tried. I just want to share sort of what I've found with these brushes over the years. Now, you've heard me talk about different brushes before and ones that I like and brands, etc. I will put any other videos sort of related to brushes down below. I've also got a demo on how I clean my brushes and what I use as well. So check down there. I'm only mentioning 8 different brands in this video because some of the ranges I just don't have every single brush. And obviously this is the Crease brushes that I have. And these are more the round sort of style. There's a couple of more fine pointed ones. I'll do a separate video on the actual I suppose point brushes and more finely tapered brushes, so that's another one in the series. So there'll be face brushes as well, contour brushes, powder brushes, and I've got a mix of synthetic, natural, bristles and the like, low and high end. But yeah, like I said, there's only 8 in this one. Check down below if there's a brand maybe that you're interested in seeing, or you just want to check out what I've got to talk about. Anyway, let's hurry up and get into it. Now, I'm actually going to go through, I've got a list. If I'm looking down, that's what I'm doing. I just decided to do it in order of how long I've actually had a particular brush. So the first one I'm going to talk about is Royal Langnickel, and I get mine at IMATS, and I'll be getting some more at the Sydney IMATS, which is not long away. It's here. And I'm basically be doing these more rounded crease style brushes. You can use them anyway, obviously, to blend. How I normally do them is sort of sit along there and sort of, not like this. It really does depend on, I suppose, the texture that you've got and sort of how you like to apply it. I sort of do it in like a circular sort of blending motion. This is the large smudger C445. It's in the Silk Pro range. They have about 6 or 7 different styles in there. This is just the Pro range that I prefer. This is actually a natural bristle. I think it is goat. I believe it is goat. If I get anything wrong, I will put annotations in, and like I said, down below. Now for me, it cost me around about, I think, $7 at IMATS. It's actually pretty good because you get in industry or trade discounts generally at IMATS. Even online, I think it's about $9.99 USD, but I paid about $7 or just under $10 Australian. So I think it's a really good buy for the style. It is a little bit sort of shorter and stockier, and also get more surface area than some of my other round crease brushes, but I have had this probably for about kicking on 4 years. I've actually got a couple of these and I really do like them. They wash up really well. I've used them on other people, on myself. They are super soft, so it's great for if you have like a lot of texture on the eye as well. So it's not going to be dragging and pulling it. It's just very soft. A lovely style sort of brush, and it's washed up. This is the oldest one, like I said, that I've got out of all of these crease brushes that I'm going to be talking about, or round sort of style brushes. Really nice, and it is quite good for sort of travel. It's a little bit shorter. Something that, or a brand a lot of you might know, is the Sigma brush. Where are you, Sigma? So there we go. There's a comparison, and you can see it's quite good for travel, or if you just have maybe little cases, or maybe even your brush roll. If you do prefer maybe shorter handle one, it is quite good, and it's a little bit thicker than the Sigma one as well, which is very similar obviously to the MAC brushes. I don't have the MAC one in this style, but this is a good one, and I've actually used it for or predominantly powders, obviously, because it's natural bristles. It helps disperse the pigmentation or the sort of color and the powder around the eye really nicely and blend it out, so it's not really sticking to the actual bristles. But it's also good for liquid as well. It's been fine, but it does tend to, like a lot of natural ones, sort of stick in there. Obviously, if you just want to get one brush, you can still use it for your liquids, and I have tried it on my cream eyeshadows, and it's been fine as well. Like I said, I prefer with powders. But like for the price, and if you can get to IMATS, or even if you are buying them online, still a very good price for what you get. The next one that I had is the Sigma one. So this is the second oldest that I've had. It's the Tapered Blending E40 brush. In comparison to the price, it's $16 USD versus $9.99. So say $10 USD, 16 USD. Same thing, it is a natural fiber bristles. But you can see the difference. This has, I hadn't had it as long. It's probably maybe 6 months younger than this brush, but it has sort of splayed out a little bit more. you can see that this has held its shape a little bit better. This is a Sigma one, it tends to splay out. I've even got one in my little pink travel set, and I actually did a review on this, or an overview. I'll link that down below. That was years ago. But it's held its shape a little bit better, only because I don't use the travel set that much. And you can see obviously the difference between the Sigma travel. This is the standard Sigma size handle, and this is the Langnickel. And they're all wood handles. I'm not sure if it's nickel plated or brass nickel plated or something with the ferrules, but they're all very similar sort of style. I do tend to notice that most of my Sigma brushes, I do get a bit of fallout, and it depends if they've been dyed as well. I do get sort of dye coming out, but over the years it's obviously stopped and been completely fine. So, except when I do wash with some of with the laundry soap or the Sard soap that is in my demo, tends to bleed no matter how old the brush is. But yeah, it's just that is dearer, but still a good brush. But I probably prefer the Royal Langnickel over that, and I'm not affiliated with Royal Langnickel. My third oldest brush is the Furless one. Now this is a synthetic one for people that might sort of want more vegan friendly brushes. Furless.com.au, they have sort of all sort of vegan friendly synthetic bristles, and these are also great for liquid, like your cream shadows and that. But you can see it's slightly different. This sort of flares out, sort of more got a flatter dome. See, there's the Sigma one, and it sort of shoots up like that. This again, it's synthetic, and these are natural. But it is actually quite long. It's quite a long sort of brush as well, all the bristles. But I do find, of course, the more sort of rounded and splayed out it is, you tend to sort of, it's great if you want to sort of have a large sort of eye area where you want to blend, but it might be a little bit large for some sort of eyes that are much more petite. It really does depend. I do prefer more sort of tapered ones. I'll get into those a little bit better, and that's for all round and for more textured eyes. This is, like I said, still a good brush. I got it as part of a set which I'll link down below. That set has since been discontinued, but it gives me a good idea about the actual feel of the bristles themselves. Like, they are super soft. There's the Sigma size, and there's that one, so it's a nice long sort of handle. I've looked on the site, and their sort of cheapest one is about $9 AU, so $9 AU, which is still fairly good in comparison to what prices are in Australia. Like I said, good. You can still use it for powder. I've used it for powder. It's been fine. I do find for sort of shimmer or frost or more chunky eyeshadows, it tends to sort of stick in there, and it maybe doesn't sort of blend as well. Again, it really does depend on the texture and the feel and pigmentation of the actual eyeshadow and sort of how you're doing it. But I do prefer some of the other brushes I'm going to get into more sort of over this one. This is still fine for maybe if you're starting out, or you just want something sort of basic in your kit. If you're just sort of building it up, this is still fine. Like I said, it's synthetic, so it'd be great for your cream shadows as well. And a nice sort of long handle. Again, they're very light. The next one is the Urban Decay. I'm just mentioning this one because sometimes people just get brushes in maybe palettes and stuff. This is the one that came in my, I think it was my Naked or my Naked 2 eyeshadow palette. Still a really good little brush. It's obviously more of a smaller brush, and it's the Geo end, but I wanted to mention it because it gives me a feel of the Urban Decay one. On their website, they do sell the double-ended one for $20 USD, and this is still good. It's synthetic, but still a good little brush to travel around. I've been fine. I've been using this for powders, for cream eyeshadows, and it's been fine to sort of blend out because it is actually quite narrow in comparison to some of my other natural ones, or the other ones that I've just mentioned. So you can sort of see what I mean there. And it's also good too, sometimes with anything that's sort of white or lighter coloured, you can really see if the product's in there. This is how, when I clean my brushes, I always check the bristles sort of down in there, especially if it's in your kit. You don't want anything in there, you want it's all out of the actual bristles. So don't just have a quick look like that, really quick look in there, and then you can spot clean it after you've touched it. But still very good. I like how sort of more tapered it is, and it's got, like, as you can see, a finer edge to it, which is great to sort of really get in that crease and blend it out. And they're all good. They're all good for sort of under the eye area, maybe applying setting powder under there, or highlight as well. But I tend to find if you're doing more sort of stuff on the cheek, the sort of more splayed out ones or larger dome areas are good for that. the more finer tapered point ones are sort of good to also get under there as well. Again, it really depends on how much texture you have, but it's still pretty good. Like I said, that was free with the actual palette, but a similar one on the Urban Decay website, which might be longer, but that's $20 USD. The next one I've got is the Real Techniques brush. Honestly, they don't really have a sort of like a rounded sort of crease brush. They've got sort of ones that are a little bit flatter, rounder, you know, thicker. One that's sort of comparable to the ones that I've got here is this one. This is actually in the Duro fiber set. So you get 3 brushes in there. There's a larger face one, a smaller one, and this is the tiniest one that you get in there. But it sort of gives me an idea of what they feel like. They're all synthetic anyway, so they're great for sort of liquids, creams, and the like. But you can see, this is their Langnickel one, how sort of much narrower it is, and sort of more pointed. But I just wanted to mention this brush because I have used it in the crease as well, and all that, particularly with sort of cream eyeshadows. Even though they say duo fiber because it's got the light and the dark, generally it means that you've got like a synthetic and natural, but it's all synthetic. This is just all synthetic. So they're good for sort of vegan friendly. And these are the ones that have that sort of metallic or metal handle with the rubber grip. So they're quite good too, depending if you want to maybe do it like this to get a light sort of application, and obviously to sort of get to do more sort of finer work. It really does depend. It's still a good sort of brush. This one though, in the actual set, so you actually get 3 of them for $20 USD, which is actually a sort of quite a good deal. What I've noticed in Australia prices, at Priceline it is just under $50 normally, but there's also other places like SA Hair, Nail and Beauty, like different beauty salons that sell it cheaper than maybe you might get at Priceline. But I also have gotten a lot of the stuff on iHerb, which I'm sure a lot of you know about. I put my code down below, but once you sign up you get your own code and your discounts and that. But that's a good sort of all-round synthetic one for sort of blending under the eye, maybe if you want to do sort of highlight as well, because it's, like I said, slightly longer but more tapered, and it's not as dense. So these ones are great too for sort of mineral powders because they're very dense, and your shimmers and your frosts. The next brush is the Wayne Goss one. So I did a review on the brushes that I had. I'll link that one down below. And it is actually this one. So this is natural fibers. So I believe it, the top of my head, I've gone blank, I'll put it up here. But it is quite a shorter handled one. So here is the Sigma one, again like the MAC one, just for comparison. So you can see the Wayne Goss is quite a bit shorter. It's quite fluffy, very soft. And here's my Raw Langnickel one, which is actually very similar in length, but this actually tapers more. So this is quite a thick handle and this is quite a thin one. And this is the number 3 round crease brush. I think this was about 20 pounds though. I paid in pounds, but you can see they're actually, these are very, very similar in the feel, but this does splay out a little bit more. Hopefully you can see it. It isn't as finely tapered as this one. Now that I've used it a little bit longer than I actually did that video, I probably do prefer my Raw Langnickel one. And but they're very, very soft, very, very similar. But this has tended to lose its sort of shape over time. Honestly, if you just wanted a natural bristled one, couldn't afford the Wayne Goss ones because they are quite pricey, but they're very soft. They are made in Japan. The handles, the bristles. You know, so it's a very well made sort of brush, but this one will do the job. And like I said, $10 USD. Or if you're around IMATS, check out the stand there. They've got a ton of different sort of ranges in Raw Langnickel. And in Wayne Goss, there are different ones, like the slightly smaller ones. Oh, and the price is $32 USD, so $32 USD or 20 pounds at the time. The next brush is the Ray Morris. Now this is the most, I suppose, expensive one because it was in AU dollars, and it is this one. Now this is actually in the newer style. She had the other ones that she brought out before. This is the one with the flat-edged end magnetic piece with the plate. Now I've got the plate. I'll put some videos down below. I sort of do an unboxing or show these brushes. I actually lost 3 of the eye brushes, but I ended up replacing them because I love them so much. This is one of the softest natural bristled brushes that I have. I love the plate. I love the size of it. It's so light. It's great for the kit or obviously personal use, but I love them particularly for textured eyes, where I mean you've got sort of more skin petite eyes, larger eyes for blending, because there's a range of them. There's about 3 different ones. There's this is the 7.5 deluxe round shader. There's also the 8.5 cream shader, and this is obviously synthetic, more for your cream or your liquids, and this is the natural one. You can see them there. This is a lovely fine taper. The only thing is it hasn't washed up too well. I've washed it quite a few times, and you can sort of see it started to sort of shed a little bit, sort of there. But it feels so soft. It almost feels like natural bristles. It's that sort of, that soft. But back to this one, the natural one. There's a few different ones. There's less surface area, much more finely tapered, and they're beautiful. I'll be doing them in a separate video, but they are absolutely luxurious. Just the way, how finely tapered they are to really get in there so you can blend around. Particularly you have sort of quite deep set, if you know what I'm talking about, really deep set eyes. Mine are more, through age, I've got the fold there. You can sort of see. So it's still, they're great for this as well. Either one, the natural or the synthetic, but you can see the synthetic one's actually quite a little bit more tapered. Obviously this is the round one. The other ones, which I'll link down below, much finer taper if you have quite a bit of sort of skin there, or it's quite deep, or you want to get it really defined sort of crease, or you want to use them to smudge under the eye or do highlight. Really, really beautiful soft brushes, but they are the most expensive. This was 35 AUD for this one, which is the natural, and this was I think around about the same price or cheaper. I'll put the price down below, but I find them well worth the money. Obviously I wish they were cheaper, but then I would probably rave about them even more. But I do love the whole plate system sort of for standing up, and that's how I've sort of got them. Nice and light and sort of luxurious looking brushes, so they don't sort of look cheap. They look worth the part, and they do have the sort of print on there, and that's actually lasted quite well. I know some of my other brushes, the print comes off straight away, but they're still very, very good. But my raw Langnickel one, like I said, it's the oldest one, that print is still on there. Look at that. They're beautiful, beautiful, but this is probably the softest brushes. Softest brushes. Again, of course I wish they were cheaper, but now Ray Morrison's just come out with a pro discount, so if you are obviously building something for your kits, I think the pro discount is 20%, and I've seen now when they've been at the trade shows they offer about 10%. It really just depends. And number 8, the youngest brush in my little collection here, is the Zoeva. It's the 228 Crease brush, and this one is natural as well. The prices have changed. I'll put a video down to that unboxing that I did. When I got them, they were much, I suppose, a few dollars cheaper. That everything's sort of gone up. This was $7.50, and now it's $9.50. I think, believe US. It was USD prices. That's right. So it's a couple of dollars dearer now. And here it is. It's a very fine sort of looking little brush. So this one is natural. It's goat. The 228 Crease. There's also the 221, which is a mix of natural and synthetic. So if you just want to be able to use it for liquids and powders, there is that one, the 221. I don't have that one, but I do have this one, which is 228 natural. Great for powders. But I'll just compare it. This is again that Royal Langnickel one. Just a little bit longer than that, so it's a great size for little travel. Very light little narrow brush. And that's that Sigma one, so you can sort of see the difference in that. But it's lovely, lovely soft goat hair. And I must say, I love how sort of narrow it is, but long. It's actually quite long, and it's got a nice little taper for the actual price. Like I said, when I got it, it's really weird. I got the brushes, and literally a few days later, the prices went up. So I paid $7.50 USD for this one, the 228. Then it's gone up, and I think at the moment it's $9.50 USD, so a couple of dollars more, but still a very good brush, very comparable in quality and feel so far to that Royal Langnickel one. But you can see this is a little bit stockier, and this one's a little bit finer, which might be good for all around, sort of under there, the edges, more petite eyes, more textured eyes. Very good sort of natural haired brush for the price. Again, this is the youngest. I've only had this one a month or so, so I've been washing it in that, so it is hard to tell sort of the quality, how long it will last. But if it's anything like my Royal Langnickel, and I have even got the Dallin brushes, it's another range that I'm really getting into, very comparable to Royal Langnickel, really, really sort of good price wise. I expect this to last years. Like I expect this to last 3-4 years, no problem. That's my that's my expectation of it. But like I said, if you do want that mix of natural and synthetic, to have it as an all-round brush, there is the 221 brush, which is probably about the same. It's probably under $10 USD. And then the shipping is now, was a flat $18 shipping to Australia. Now it's $16. But yeah, all round, probably the sort of best all-round one I would say is either Royal Langnickel or that new one, Zoeva. Out of the sort of more expensive natural bristled ones, there's Wayne Goss and Ray Morris. I haven't tried the Hakuhodo one, but I have heard pretty much the Wayne Goss ones stand up against the Hakuhodo, and I do have a few similar face brushes in Hakuhodo and Wayne Goss, which are literally like, they're like dupes. I also feel them every time I go to IMATS. I go up there and sort of play around with the brushes, and honestly they are very, very similar, and obviously they're both made in Japan. But I would probably go more for your really, really high-end quality. I'd probably go more for Ray Morris at this point. And then if you just want a very basic one, Furless is great. They're synthetic, like I said. If that's more you think, the more vegan-friendly brushes that you just want synthetic, still does the trick. You can use them for powders or natural. Just tend to get an even blend of more pigmented sort of eyeshadows and the like with natural. Again, it doesn't really matter. You can still get it to work. But yeah, Furless is still good, and they have sets and kits and stuff like that. So, and they always tend to come up with like 10% off. So probably go to their Facebook and sign up to the newsletter, so that way you stay in the loop about their 10% off as well. So there's still a good style sort of brush. Like I said, check out Zoeva as well. That's still, like I said, I'm still very, very new to that, but so far I'm enjoying those brushes. If you are in Sydney and you are going to IMATS, definitely check out the actual Royal Langnickel and Dallum sort of brushes. Crowns there as well, but so definitely go there and check them out if you are there. But it's just a shame this year, obviously, like people are saying that they have changed the age limit. Like before it was open to everyone, now this year I think it got changed in April this year, 17 years and up, unless a pro or a pro gold or platinum card member of Makeup Artist Magazine. You can buy a ticket for someone under 17, but you have to have them as your guest and stuff like that. So also there is Elf. I do have Elf. You're probably saying, how about Elf? That's a really, really good, cheap synthetic bristle brush, and they're Taklon. So very similar to the Furless brushes. I don't have one in the crease brushes, but I do have them in the face brushes. But I even have a $2 brush in my kit. I love it that much. Anyway, that's for my face brushes. I will catch you later.